2018 is looking to be a big year for brand new RPGs from Japanese RPGs and Western RPGs. In this video, we want to go over 10 big RPGs that are releasing in the first half of 2018. So these games are expected to release somewhere between January and June. With that being said, let's get right into this. Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter has been one of the most notable franchises in gaming, but for a long time it was relegated to portable platforms, Nintendo platforms, but now the shackles are coming off as Monster Hunter World is hitting current-gen consoles as well as PC, although the PC version will be releasing at a later date comparatively to the consoles. We've already gotten a taste of the game with the Monster Hunter World beta on the PlayStation 4, and that's been really good. Technically, the game is gorgeous. Gameplay-wise, it's your standard Monster Hunter fare, and it looks to be a game packed with content. Best of all, Monster Hunter World's release isn't far too off. It is scheduled to come January 26th, although as I mentioned, the PC version will be hitting sometime in autumn of this year, so you will have to wait a little bit for that version.
Daybreak. It's coming. Move out! Get to your posts now!
Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom. Ni no Kuni was one of the best RPGs of last generation. You could make a legitimate argument that it was the best RPG on the PlayStation 3. It was that good. Level 5 is one of the more storied JRPG dev studios. They've worked on great games such as Dark Cloud, and Ni no Kuni also had that fantastic Studio Ghibli art style and presentation that added a lot to the game. And outside of that, you also had a great story, solid gameplay, great characters, and now we have a sequel to the game, Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom. Now, this will be a new story, so if you didn't play the first title, you can jump right into Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom, and it centers around a young king who is usurped from his castle and sets out to reclaim his kingdom. Visually and presentation-wise, it looks as good as ever, and this time around, the game will be hitting the PC and PlayStation 4. Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom comes March 23rd. Kingdom Come Deliverance. Kingdom Come Deliverance is an open-world RPG coming from Warhorse Studios, and it's been a long-anticipated title. It's being published by Deep Silver, and it's set in the medieval kingdom of Bohemia, an imperial state of the Holy Roman Empire with a focus on historically accurate and realistic content. Kingdom Come Deliverance is a single-player experience that really puts the power in the player's hand. It's got a highly interactive world encouraging emergent gameplay, and it features a classless job system where you develop your character exactly how you want to do so. Kingdom Come Deliverance is gonna hit the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on February 13th.
Someone has to bring order and reunite the Empire!
That's for Sigismund!
Woohoo!
What the fuck do you think you're doing?
We're just doing what we have to do!
Oh, sons! I'll make those smiles off your faces!
Look me in the eye. If you want to convince someone that they're wrong, try using your mouth and not your fists.
Vampyr. Vampyr is one of the more interesting upcoming RPGs. It's an action RPG being developed by Don't Nod Entertainment and published by Focus Home Interactive. The game's story centers around a character named Jonathan Reed, a doctor who has turned into a vampire. He comes to terms with his new condition and is torn between the Hippocratic Oath and his newfound bloodthirsty nature. This is another game that's gonna put the power in your hands. You are under no obligation to kill to finish the game. And while I don't expect Vampyr to be one of the standard bearer RPGs of 2018, it does look like a pretty interesting game, and Vampyr games haven't been explored too much, so hopefully Vampyr turns out pretty well. It's scheduled to release on PC, PS4, and Xbox One sometime in early 2018.
Vampyr's combat system uses a mix of melee and ranged weapons supported by vampire abilities that allow you to be the vampire you want to be. The gameplay is based on timing, positioning, and management of different resources. The stamina bar regulates your melee moves and dodges, the blood bar controls the use of your supernatural abilities, and the health bar represents your health.
Lost Sphear. Lost Sphear is the latest JRPG coming from Tokyo RPG Factory, a studio that's starting to gain some recognition, a brand new studio that's been created by Square Enix. The goal with Square Enix and Tokyo RPG Factory is to create old school and very nostalgic RPGs that cater to a modern audience as well. Their first game was I Am Setsuna, and while that game wasn't perfect, it did set a solid foundation for what Tokyo RPG Factory could build into. Lost Sphear is considered a spiritual successor to the first title, and it follows a similar presentation pattern. These These JRPGs definitely cater to an audience that have played older school JRPGs, but they're quality games nonetheless, and hopefully Lost Sphear turns out to be a better game than I Am Setsuna, and Tokyo RPG Factory can continue an upward trend. We'll find out soon, as the game is scheduled for a release on January 23rd. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory. Digimon is one of those franchises that I'm sure many are very nostalgic about. However, comparatively speaking to its contemporary in Pokemon, it's definitely fallen off the wagon a little bit, but Bandai Namco is doing a good job bringing over more Digimon games stateside, and their latest game is a part of the Digimon Story series in Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory. It's an RPG that follows in the footsteps of the original Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, and it actually shares a lot of elements and locations from its predecessor, which may seem a little bit lazy, but hopefully it adds enough new content to justify another purchase. Obviously, it will feature a brand new story and an expanded roster of Digimon for you to collect, so that's pretty cool. Even if you're not a fan of Digimon, these are well-made RPGs that really can cater towards anyone. They're just well-made games, and that monster collecting style of gameplay is something that caters towards a lot of gamers. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory hits the PlayStation 4 on January 19th. Secret of Mana Remake. Secret of Mana is one of the more iconic JRPGs when you talk to ardent fans of the genre. However, it isn't a JRPG that really transcended into mainstream audiences such as your Final Fantasies of the world, but it is a quality RPG featuring a real-time battle system, which is a bit different than a lot of the RPGs around the time of its original release, where most games were using turn-based battle systems. It's got a lot of unique elements and design choices, the story's very good, the characters are engaging, and with the remake, it is a full-on 3D remake that looks pretty good, although obviously it's not up to par with a lot of AAA releases. I think for those that are looking to play Secret of Mana, that's really not what you're expecting. The full Secret of Mana 3D remake will be releasing for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation Vita, and PC on February 15th.
I don't think I would have made it here without you two.
Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. Sword Art Online has been one of the more recognizable anime of the last decade, and while it is an anime that is very polarizing, some love it, others absolutely despise it, there's no doubt that it has gained quite a bit of popularity, and that translated into the video game realm as well, although a lot of those games weren't very good. A lot of the Sword Art games had really bad translation issues, but you could notice that there was some potential in those games. Now with Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet, it moves on to the second season of Sword Art Online, where it centers around Gun Gale Online with more of an emphasis on shooting, and the gameplay we've seen thus far has actually looked very good, a lot better than the previous Sword Art Online games, and with this added layer of gameplay of third-person shooting, maybe Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet can turn out to be a pretty good game. And of course, you'll be able to interact with all of the characters from the Sword Art Online universe, and now the game is running on the Unreal Engine 4, and it looks pretty good visually, comparatively speaking to the other games. We'll be able to see how Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet turns out as it's releasing on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on February 23rd. Valkyria Chronicles 4. Valkyria Chronicles was one of the most underrated games of last generation. It was a PlayStation 3 exclusive initially, and it was a fantastic strategy JRPG with a lot of depth to its gameplay, and on top of that, it had great presentation with the watercolor visuals and a great story with a great cast of characters. Unfortunately, due to the underwhelming commercial response, Valkyria Chronicles 2 and Valkyria Chronicles 3 were PSP exclusive titles, and Valkyria Chronicles 3 didn't even see a release over here in the States. They also made a spin-off title called Valkyria Azure Revolution that did see a release over here, and that game wasn't very good, but now we're getting back on track with Valkyria Chronicles 4. Once again, a strategy RPG in the style of the first 3 games in the series, and it looks fantastic. It takes place in the same time frame as the original Valkyria Chronicles, but it focuses on a new cast of characters, and it's shaping up to be a fantastic game. We still don't have a release date for the title over here in the States, but it should be coming out in the first half of 2018 on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. And And finally, Final Fantasy 15 on PC. Final Fantasy 15 was arguably the most anticipated game of this generation. We had a long wait for the title going back 10 years, but it finally released late 2016, and it turned out pretty well. While many were kind of disappointed by the story, the open world and gameplay were great, and Square Enix has stayed committed to updating that game and keeping it a fresh experience. And now Final Fantasy 15 will be coming to PC, and with it being on PC, expect the game to look absolutely outstanding. That is, if you have a relatively high-end PC, expect this game to be a very difficult game to run, but from what we've seen thus far, it's shaping up very nicely, and Square Enix has done a pretty good job with their PC ports, so I expect FF15 on PC to turn out similarly. We still don't have a release date for Final Fantasy 15 on PC, but it is supposed to come out very early on in 2018, most likely well before June is over.
I think we're in for a fight.
We bargained for.
Of course. Damn it.
All better?
My bad.
So that wraps up 10 big RPGs coming in the first half of 2018. What do you think? Which RPGs during the first half of 2018 are you the most excited for? Let us know in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.